Hi everyone, Misilla here, Learn to Grow up in the Pacific Northwest, Zone 8B. Today we're going to be fertilizing the garlic, and I also have some watering tips for you. So if you are growing garlic this year, make sure to feed them now or around this time. So mid-May, before the end of the month, during the bulb formation. Garlic is a heavy feeder and it needs nitrogen in order for it to produce those large, robust bulbs. I'll be using worm castings, which is what I primarily use for the whole garden, as well as some homemade compost. So when I fertilize, it's usually at the planting time. So back in October or November, I usually amend about ½ inch of worm castings around the planting area, and again in May, which is again around the bulb formation. And so what we'll do is I'm just going to just sprinkle about maybe ½ inch of worm castings along the side of the plants, and I'm going to just scratch it in lightly. And as it rains or when we water, all the nutrients, beneficial microbes, and fungi will get washed down into the soil. It's about to rain, guys, so I'm going to have to make this quick. It's a little windy too. Hopefully you can hear me okay. So let's go ahead and sprinkle some worm castings in the garden, and I'll show you how to do it. And then we'll go over some watering tips. So here's our elephant and hardneck garlic that we'll be fertilizing right now. Now, if you'd like to learn more about planting and growing garlic, make sure to check out the links below. I have a playlist on growing them. So what I normally do is just sprinkle it. So I'm going to sprinkle about ½ inch near the plants, and I will scratch that in. So I'll just go down the row and keep sprinkling about ½ inch of worm castings with about a 2-inch spread near the garlic plants. Just scratch it in just like this. So when it rains, all those beneficial microbes and fungi will get washed down. That's why I love using worm castings. Now I'm going to apply about 1 inch or 2 of wood chips as mulch. If you're not mulching it, it's a good idea. You can use straw, dry leaves, dry grass clippings. Mulching helps retain moisture. Also, it helps block out weeds. And over time, it'll break down and feed the soil. And I usually get my wood chips free. I'll link the website below. I think it's getchipdrop.com. So got them all fertilized and mulched. So we got that part done, and also want to mention that the worm castings I use is Vermistera's worm castings, and my code is Learn to Grow. So if you're interested in trying it, you get 10% off, and I will link it down below. Now on to watering tips. So I live in the Pacific Northwest and we get a lot of rain, so I don't really water that much in the springtime. So if we do get a dry period, then I water about once a week. Now if you live in a warm and dry climate, watering 3 to 5 days is ideal, or ½ inch to 1 inch a week. Now sometimes you might have to water more, and you should check your soil. And what you can do is, if you don't mind doing this, is sticking your finger in the pot of soil or in the ground, and if the first top inch of soil feels dry to touch, then you should water your plants. So you don't want to overwater where the ground is soaked. You want to make sure that the soil drains well, especially in containers and also in the ground, so that way the bulbs don't rot. But also if you don't water enough, then the plants get stressed and they won't grow as well. So now I'm going to circle back to fertilizing, because I didn't talk about if you're growing garlic in containers. So if you're growing them in containers, you will need to water and fertilize more often. So a good sign to tell if your garlic needs fertilizing is if the leaves start to turn yellow. So I noticed that with the garlic upstairs that are growing in a pot, compared to the ones growing in the ground, they're not turning yellow at all. My soil in the ground is pretty fertile, and it can take a few years to make your soil healthy, but you want to keep amending your soil with organic matter and compost or worm castings. So again, the nutrients and microbes and fungi, the good guys, don't drain as much as they would in a pot or container. So again, you want to fertilize often in containers. Just check your plants. When you see the yellow leaves, give them some food. Maybe it could be once every 4 to 6 weeks. And that goes for watering. You will have to water more often, especially if it's warm in your area. So I'm going to get going. I think it's about to rain. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys, and I hope that you found this video helpful. Leave a comment below. We'd love to know if you're growing garlic as well. We love growing them. It's one of our favorite crops, and I mainly grow hardneck garlic. It does really well here up in the Pacific Northwest. And pretty soon I'll be harvesting the garlic escapes, which are the flower stalk that grow from hardneck varieties. So stay tuned guys, and I'll see you on the next video. Happy gardening!